The film opens with a man named Thomas standing under a hot shower, visibly tense and distraught. He's been cheating on his wife with a younger woman named Hannah. But now, things have taken a chilling turn. Somehow, Hannah ends up dead, her lifeless body discovered floating in the backyard pool. In a panic, Thomas hides the corpse in a dumpster behind his house, gripped by fear, not just of the authorities, but of his wife and family finding out. Earlier before that same day, Thomas is seen in his spacious suburban home, speaking with a friend over the phone. Troubled by his actions, he asks if he's still a good person. His friend reassures him, calling him one of the most genuine people he knows, blessed with a beautiful family. As they talk, Thomas notices his neighbor's drone hovering over his property once again. Then, unexpectedly, Hannah, the very woman he's been having an affair with, shows up at his door, cheerfully wishing him a happy birthday. Thomas, visibly uneasy, tells her it's getting late. He's already made plans to have dinner with his wife, Kristen, but Hannah insists she won't stay long. She just wants to spend a little time with him. She tempts him to come outside, saying she has a special birthday gift waiting. Back in the present, Thomas is still in the bathroom when Kristen walks in, startling him. She casually reminds him that dinner will be ready soon and urges him to hurry. After she leaves, Thomas stares into the mirror, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He finally pulls himself together, gets dressed, and heads downstairs, only to overhear Kristen whispering to someone on the phone. When he walks in, she quickly pretends everything is normal. Thomas, suspicious, questions her, but she brushes it off. A sudden flashback hits Thomas. He remembers his final moments with Hannah. She had been complaining about her dress, and he promised to buy her a new one. As the tension between them turned romantic, she slipped out of her dress, and they began kissing passionately. But that moment spiraled into something dark and fatal, something Thomas can't erase from his mind. Back in the present, Kristen calls out to him, snapping him out of his daze. Then, Thomas hears a strange noise outside. Kristen, however, insists she hears nothing. Just as they're about to leave the house, a blood-curdling scream pierces the night air. Kristen tries to assure him it's nothing, but Thomas isn't convinced. His paranoia growing, he confronts her about the phone call and demands to see her phone. She counters, demanding to see his as well. The tension escalates, and it becomes clear that the secrets between them run deeper than either is willing to admit. Just as Thomas opens the front door, he's hit with a surprise. His wife Kristen has organized a birthday party, inviting friends, family, and even a DJ. Among the guests is their daughter, Rose, who warmly wishes him a happy birthday. Soon after, his in-law William arrives, offering birthday wishes while joking about how Kristen spoils Thomas. Suddenly, another haunting memory surfaces. In a flashback, Thomas recalls an argument with Hannah. She had left visible marks on his body, and when he asked her to stop, she grew angry. Though he apologized, she stood up and walked out, clearly upset. Back in the present, Thomas is startled by his friend Mike, who tries to spook him before wishing him a happy birthday. Mike casually mentions that he showed up earlier than the others, which makes Thomas uneasy, concerned that Mike might have seen Hannah. He urgently presses Mike for details, but Mike just laughs it off, assuming Thomas is high. When he asks for a share, Thomas denies being on anything. Later, Thomas finds Kristen in the kitchen and discreetly asks how long the party will last. She assures him it's just begun and might run late into the night. Sensing his unease, she encourages him to relax and enjoy himself. Just then, William enters and asks if something is wrong. Kristen insists everything is fine, though the tension between William and Thomas is palpable. Their son, Alex, arrives with Rose, carrying a birthday cake. Kristen ushers everyone out to the backyard. Outside, Alex checks in with Thomas, sensing something's off. Thomas brushes it off and trails behind Rose, who unknowingly heads toward the dumpster, where Hannah's body is hidden. To Thomas's horror, Rose is sitting on the dumpster, kissing her boyfriend Pietro, whom she introduces to him. She then tries to open the dumpster to grab some towels, but Thomas panics and stops her, claiming there's mold inside. Disgusted, Rose backs away, and he begs her not to tell her mother. Suddenly, a phone rings from inside the dumpster. Thinking fast, Thomas claims it's his phone and asks them to leave. Once alone, he retrieves it. It's Hannah's phone, and her husband, Kevin, is calling. Although he returns to greet guests, Thomas is visibly shaken. He quickly withdraws, overwhelmed by the crowd, and starts drinking. Every laugh and every conversation echo around him, warping his perception. The weight of guilt and fear begins to distort his reality. He retreats into the bathroom. Hannah's phone rings again. It's Kevin. Thomas quickly shuts it off. Another flashback strikes. He sees Hannah wandering through the house, eventually entering Kristen's bedroom. She lies on the bed briefly before opening a drawer and stealing a piece of jewelry. Back in the present, Thomas struggles to compose himself. On his way out of the bathroom, he runs into William. Cold and probing, William tells Thomas he knows something is wrong, and he intends to uncover it. As Thomas makes his way through the house, he hears Rose and Kristen talking. Paranoid, he barges in, demanding to know what they're discussing. Rose brushes it off and quickly leaves. Kristen tries to calm him, but William reappears, taunting and attempting to humiliate Thomas again. This time, Thomas pushes back and demands he stop. Alex walks in, asking for cake, only to witness the tension. Sensing the stress, he bluntly asks if his parents are getting a divorce. Kristen assures him they're not. Another flashback creeps in. Thomas and Hannah are sitting together. She tells him she's forgiven him and asks him to say he loves her. But Thomas hesitates, unable to respond, his loyalty still tied to his family. Hannah invites him into the pool. They share a quiet, intimate moment as she pleads with him to leave his wife. She confesses she just wants to feel safe and fears what will happen if her husband, Kevin, discovers their affair. Back in the present, Thomas becomes obsessed with Rose's movements, watching her closely. She eventually confronts him, annoyed by his creeping presence, and tells him to stop. Thomas fears she may have discovered something about Hannah, but instead, she reveals she's dropping out of school, which is what she had been discussing with Kristen. Relieved, Thomas encourages her to follow her own path and tells her to live freely, but with one plea: no more secrets. Later in the evening, Kristen pulls Thomas aside, saying they need to talk. In their bedroom, Thomas confronts her, insisting he knows she's hiding something and demands the truth. Kristen coldly responds, telling him not to question her actions. She reminds him that all she's ever wanted was to be supported the way she's always supported him. When Thomas tries to touch her, she recoils, telling him to stop acting strangely and embarrassing her. She urges him to return downstairs and play the part of the perfect couple. Thomas reluctantly agrees. Flashback. Thomas and Hannah are together outside when they spot a neighbor's drone filming them. Thomas angrily chases after it and catches the culprit, the neighbor's young son. Thomas threatens the boy, warning him not to fly the drone into his yard again or he'll destroy it. The kid responds by calling Thomas a pervert for being with a much younger woman. When Thomas returns to the pool, he finds Hannah's body floating face down, blood spilling into the water. He rushes to help her, but it's too late. She's already dead. Just then, Kristen calls, telling him she'll be home in 45 minutes. Panic-stricken, Thomas drags Hannah's lifeless body to the backyard dumpster and hides her inside. He then scrambles to clean up the mess, wiping away the blood trails, smudges from her lipstick on the mirror, and any sign of what happened before Kristen returns. Back to the present. Thomas and Kristen are now downstairs, pretending to be the happy couple once again. As they mingle with guests, Thomas spots a man standing alone. Their eyes meet, locking briefly before the man disappears into the crowd. Moments later, Thomas sees the neighbor's kid again and quickly approaches him. He assures the boy he means no harm. He only wants to see the footage the drone recorded of him and Hannah. The kid complies, but unfortunately, the video doesn't capture Hannah's death or who attacked her. However, Thomas notices something else in the footage, a wooden baseball bat. He soon finds the bat in a nearby bag, realizing it was used to bludgeon Hannah. As he heads back, Thomas spots William, his in-law, sitting on the very dumpster where Hannah's body is hidden. He joins him, apologizing for his earlier behavior. Surprisingly, William accepts the apology, offering a moment of peace. But their conversation is cut short when Thomas's group of friends show up, laughing and carrying drinks. William takes his leave. The friends surround Thomas, joking and pressuring him into taking a hit of a joint. Hesitant at first, he eventually gives in and joins them outside. While mingling, Thomas suddenly sees Kristen speaking with a man, Kevin. The moment Thomas lays eyes on him, something feels off. Kevin introduces himself, explaining that he's Hannah's husband. He says her Uber account location led him to this house, and he's been trying to find her. Thomas denies knowing her entirely, claiming he's never met her. Later, Thomas confronts Kristen, asking how she knows Kevin. She acts confused, saying she assumed Kevin was one of Thomas's friends and that she doesn't know him personally. Sensing the situation spiraling, Thomas lies to his family, warning them that Kevin is dangerous and telling them to avoid him at all costs. Afterward, Thomas stumbles into the bathroom, where the effects of drugs and paranoia begin to hit hard. As he crashes on the floor, there's a knock at the door. It's Mike. He pushes his way in, saying he's been watching Thomas all day and knows something isn't right. Alarmed, Thomas asks what he means. But Mike shifts the conversation. He's not talking about Hannah. Instead, he says Thomas needs a new account for work and that he wants in as a business partner. Without waiting, Mike pulls out cocaine and invites Thomas to do it with him. Overwhelmed and unstable, Thomas agrees. Afterward, Thomas heads to his wardrobe and retrieves a gun. Fueled by paranoia and guilt, he confronts Kevin once again, now fully convinced that Kevin might have killed Hannah and is trying to frame him for it. Kevin, confused and alarmed, insists he has no idea what Thomas is talking about. But Thomas doesn't back down. He forces Kevin into the house at gunpoint. Once inside, Thomas shoves Kevin to the floor. He accuses him of being abusive, claiming that Hannah told him terrible things about him. Kevin, shocked that Thomas even knows Hannah, demands to see her. But Thomas raises his gun, pressing Kevin further. Why did he hurt Hannah? Kevin denies everything, claiming he's never laid a hand on her and that Hannah was simply difficult and stubborn. As Kevin tries to call the police, Thomas knocks the phone away and strikes him unconscious. In a panic, he uses shirt ties to restrain Kevin and attempts to unlock his phone, but fails. Suddenly, Alex walks in and catches Thomas in the act. Thomas, startled, tries to calm his son, swearing it's not what it looks like and promising to explain later. He pleads with Alex not to tell Kristen. Then comes the film's most shocking twist. Alex, with trembling resolve, asks if Kevin is Hannah's husband. The question stuns Thomas. His confusion deepens as Alex begins to unravel the truth. Alex reveals that he saw Thomas and Hannah together earlier that day, behaving intimately. Disturbed and desperate to protect his mother from heartbreak and the threat of divorce, Alex confesses that he confronted Hannah and, in a fit of rage, bludgeoned her with a baseball bat. When he returned later and saw everything cleaned up, he assumed Thomas had handled it and that the nightmare was over. Thomas, horrified but composed, assures Alex he'll take care of everything. As they prepare to stash Kevin in the wardrobe, Kristen and Rose walk in, demanding an explanation. Thomas promises to tell them everything. Later, gathered as a family, Thomas confesses to his affair. Kristen responds coldly. She's known for months and had already been planning to divorce him. Thomas tries to shift blame onto her, claiming he felt pressured to stay for the family's sake. But before he can spin the narrative further, Alex steps forward and admits the unthinkable. He killed Hannah. Kristen and Rose are left stunned and emotionally shattered. Later that night, the family settles into a grim calm. Thomas apologizes, expressing remorse for everything he's done and revealing that he has a plan. He pleads for their trust, insisting he can fix things. Rose refuses to be part of it, wanting nothing to do with the cover-up and determined to stay out of prison. Thomas then tells them all he needs is for them to return to the party and begin ushering guests out, quietly. Minutes later, Thomas descends the stairs and takes his place at the front of the gathering for his birthday speech. A couple snaps family photos, capturing what looks like a picture-perfect moment. As the crowd quiets, Thomas begins speaking, thanking everyone for coming to celebrate with him. But beneath the surface, a darker plan is in motion. Unbeknownst to anyone, Thomas had already called the police while upstairs. As his speech nears its end, flashing lights appear outside. The police arrive. In a shocking turn of redemption, Thomas turns himself in, taking full responsibility for everything that's happened. He's arrested on the spot. Meanwhile, Kevin regains consciousness in the house, still bound and groggy. As Thomas is taken away in handcuffs, the weight of guilt and consequence finally settles. The party is over. The movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.